Well, hello there.
Hey, folks.
How's everyone doing?
What's going on?
Right.
What's going on? What is this? What are we
What's
doing?
going on?
Yeah, I feel like I need a few things, but we're gonna work with this right now. So, how's everyone doing? What's crack-a-lackin'? What you been up to?
I know, right? It's been this has been
What, 7 whole days?
7 whole days.
Woo!
And not a word from you. 7 whole days. And I'm just about through. I won't take it, can't take it, won't take it no more. I had enough of you. I'd rather be on my own. Yes.
On my own. Honey, sugar, sugar. Honey, honey. Baby, baby. Oh, let's see if we can get some different type of lighting here. Ooh, it got the red light special. Listen,
just regular light, honey. Just regular light.
I know, but I'm just talking about just in general. Ooh, it done went out. I got a new ring light, and I'm sitting there playing with it, and I done pulled it out the socket.
You playing around, did the most, and now you can't see nothing.
Right, like just doing a lot.
Now, let me see if I can get a little, because this overhead light shining on my bald spot is not exactly giving me the look that I wanted. So let's see. Okay, this will do.
There we go.
I need to put in some other lights to fill in the background. So that'll be one of the things that I'll be doing this weekend. So
there we go.
So how was your week?
Listen. I knew that this was, you know what, let me not say I knew. This week is turning out to be a week. Because I was excited that I get to do some stuff from home. And hey, everybody. Oh my God. Lola, Sir O. Was Lola the first person in the room today? Or Sir O? What's going on? I see people.
Lola was the first person here, yes.
Oh my gosh. Hey. Listen, I am glad that you are both here and that you are snacking and the rest of you are here. I see you guys commented. That's why I'm just saying to both of you. But hey, I'm happy to see Sir O. She's one of our newest additions. So I'm glad that she's here. So that's a good thing. So welcome back again. But anyway, I'm going back to how I felt about this week. Listen, this week has been, I thought it was going to be an easy week. And for the most part, it has been. I've been able to, Greg, I didn't see you, Greg. Don't get sensitive now.
Wait a minute, Greg, you just popped in. You didn't say anything before.
Don't get sensitive now because you just popped in. And it's not like Demaine and I went to dinner and didn't call you.
Oh, this is awkward for some people, not me.
So, But yeah, so it started off just quiet. Okay, all right, baby. So it started off really good, and I've been able to get some quiet and not have my stress levels to be as high as they were. I've realized, and I've talked about my direct supervisor a couple different times. I've realized that the more I'm away from you, the better I feel. And I'm okay with that. So being at home feels good. So once again, I'm not stressing out. Why are we advertising? Okay.
It's a new thing. I clicked on it, and I was before I knew what was happening, it was sending, but it's fine.
Oh, hey.
So a discount on no, we did not go to dinner.
We did not go to dinner. I was referring back to the dinner debacle with Greg coming into DC and he reaching out to Dominion to go to dinner.
Yes,
but
that was the specific debacle, a debacle.
Yes, that was a specific
for that. That was the debacle for
that.
But
so anyway, but on top of everything else not being there, it seems like it's turning into what I don't want it to be. First, I am a little bit annoyed with my direct report because she is doing the most because she's doing the most and she should be doing that with me as her supervisor, not with my boss or our boss, if you will. So I get a little annoyed by that. But I also get annoyed with her trying to manage up. And I'm like, baby, stop trying to manage me. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I like being managed up, but you got to be good at your job to manage up. Because don't try to manage up, and then I can point out flaws in the shit you said.
And the other part to that is, don't delegate shit because you have other stuff to do that I'm ultimately responsible for. And see, here's the thing. First of all, I was doing this job before you got it. So I just want to be clear about, it's not about the fact that she has the job. That's not even the issue. The issue is I was doing it, and I can do it without you there, and it's okay. So it's been a while for me to kind of let go of some stuff. But again, it's been over a year, so she has everything she needs to have. But the problem is you're now sending me into places ill-equipped when you start asking me questions and you're trying to manage up. Like, because you can't make these meetings, you're like, well, ask these questions. Well, first of all, I don't follow your train of thought. We already know I'm always on my own train of thought, and my thought pattern, my thought process sometimes is a lot different than everyone else's. And I get it because I oversimplify shit. I don't need to read, like if I'm looking at this bottle over here and it says iced tea, I don't need to read that it's raspberry, that it's Joe's tea or whatever. It's iced tea. That's just where I'm at. In my mind, that it's just a quick connection because I'm scanning so many other things, and it's okay. But don't send me into a meeting and ask me questions, and then when I come back and give you the answer to the one question that you gave me, and you're like, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Well, you know what? You actually could have actually come in the meeting and asked those questions. And I've said this to her time and time again. Your line of questioning, I don't necessarily follow it all the time, but it helps you to understand, and I get it. I want to encourage you to feel like you can come in this meeting, but I got so much stuff to do. Baby, take the time away from the desk and ask your question and then go back. It's very simple. It's very simple. That's it. I'm probably just bitching because I just am at this particular point. It's been a crabby kind of day for me. The highlight to my day was walking outside to my car as I'm at the Black Degree Factory, and I realized that, oh, it's a probate show, and it's a probate for the noobs. And baby, listen, when I tell you these Bamas came around that corner, and I'm saying Bamas in the most loving way possible, these Bamas came around the corner riding in these 4 cars, blowing horns. Yeah, I was like, what kind of nut? Baby, all 10 or 13 of them was hanging out the car windows. They was like, yeah. And I'm sitting here like, this what we doing now? Then there was another car, president, vice president. They're all just suited and booted. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. But y'all waited a little bit too. If you all wanted the maximum impact, why are you waiting till 7 o'clock at night? Baby, you should have did this in the middle of the day. The middle of the day. But I digress. But that was a highlight because it brought back so many memories, and it made me laugh a little bit about some of the nonsense that happened. So yeah, it just brought back some stuff. So yeah, it was all good. It was good. It was all good. So and I got some tacos from my favorite taco place. So I'm gonna have those for dinner, and so yeah, I'm good. That's where I'm at.
Good.
That's where I'm at. How was your day? How was your week been?
The work week has been, what it is. I will say that immediately before this show, I reactivated my LinkedIn. I mean, the LinkedIn has always existed, but the paid version of LinkedIn, so I can start to, because my last couple of jobs have, I was able to move that through the process by having the ability to have that service that the paid version of LinkedIn provides. So,
baby, we got on this show, I was having this same conversation about one of my coworkers who's leaving as of the 18th. And it's funny because the job that she applied for, she was like, oh my God, you should apply for this. I was like, first of all, I know what I can and can't do. The piece that they're asking about that is the major part of this job is compliance. Baby, I'm not a compliance person. I don't even on a financial, I don't know. I can't even sit back and tell you. I as much as I've done, financial aid and all that good stuff, baby, I'm not a compliance person. And it's okay. But sure enough, she got it and she's starting on the 18th. And her thing is, we all got to go together. She's like, so I went in because, if I'm coming in as a director, you're not going to bring a team. Baby, I appreciate that. I do. But ain't nothing going to make me move until I see something in writing on a piece of paper. And I know,
right.
So right now, that's where I'm at. But reactivating or paying for the paid version, which I actually had never done until probably about like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Baby, listen, but I let that thing go. But no, I will be.
Yeah, and it's a 50% discount now, so I'm only paying half price for the next 2 months. So if I get a job in listen, I got a job, but they are talking crazy at Amtrak. Hoes is getting fired left and right. They've fired CEOs and all kind and vice presidents and all kinds of stuff. And those who are getting let go in the next round will know by mid-May. And that no one is apparently safe. So it would be the better part of discretion to make sure I got my shit together. So and keep that mortgage paid up. So if nothing else,
that part. I think I'm alarmed and I'm on edge just with this economy and this administration at this particular point.
Mm-hmm.
But baby, I don't know how. I am trying not to quit because there's no reason for me to walk away from this job, but I'm also trying not to stay here to the point where I feel like I have to put my hands on somebody. And if I have to put my hands on somebody, student or administrator, trust me, they're owed what I'm going to give them. But I don't want to do that. I know it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I am looking further afield too. This might be for a number of reasons the time to make the move out of state. But, trust and believe, if I take a job that takes me out of the DC metro area, it's not going to be like, there's going to be some significant benefit to me. It's either going to be someplace I always wanted to live, and the money's got to be good because the girl, your Brista's too old to be starting fresh or living off of ramen noodles or all that kind of bullshit. So,
baby, listen.
Oh no, Mr. Bougie got cut yesterday.
Oh my God. Oh snap!
Sorry to hear that.
Oh my God, Tyra. Oh Jesus. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know.
But I don't know if this was before or
that's right. Nichelle did too. Oh my God.
Nichelle got the cut?
Nichelle did.
I'm sorry to hear that. But
Yeah, we
Bougie
were
girl,
talking.
I saw that you know were taking a leap of faith and stepping out. I'm not sure if that was before or after, but best of luck on that new venture that you posted on Facebook. So
Yes.
super excited to hear about that, and I will refer people to you. So
She says, I'm coming to visit the mansion.
yeah, don't the girls be like, "Oh, you got all these extra rooms now? I'll come stay." I know Bougie girl would never do that though. But yeah, it's a lot going on. And this weekend was the memorial service. So that was in some ways it was not as crazy as I thought it would be.
Okay.
Mainly because I wrote everything down that I was going to say, which
Good.
allowed me to be on a tablet and generally stay on task. Because the first thing, the moment I stood up and started speaking, I was like, it's like, all right. And then, it was good. It was good to see my family. I forgot how short they all were.
You're so tall. Like, I mean, come on. What do you
I
mean?
am not. I'm 5'9.5",
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you mean your family's short? Like, you're so.
Did you see my cousin Deborah? Deborah is not even 5 feet tall. I was towering over her.
Well, that's like my grandmother and my mother for the most part. I mean, they're short. They're not. I think my grandmother was 5 feet, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And my
And
mother's
so,
coming in at towering 5'2", maybe 5'3".
yeah, it's been a while since I've seen them, so it was good. And the memorial went well, and the slideshow went well. So it was a good send off. Everything happened there. And then, initially I had been like, in my mind, it was memorial service over.
Right. But we know it didn't quite happen that way.
Well, for one, everyone.
I mean, it was at your blessing that it did happen that way.
Can't nobody force me to have a bunch of people over my house.
Right.
But I just wasn't initially thinking, but I was glad I did some pre-cleaning ahead of time just in case.
Right.
But
wait, I had to laugh because you was like, "Oh my God, take some chicken." I was like, "I already got my chicken." I already got my chicken.
that chicken was before you even got there.
Baby, I got my chicken. My bag was packed.
So after the memorial, everyone's like, "So we going out to dinner or something?" I was like, "No, but I guess you can all come over to my house for a little bit." And listen, if these were all like local relatives and stuff, I might have felt different. But I say my mother's family, not like it's not my family, but my mother's side of the family drove up from Birmingham, Huntsville, and Montgomery, Alabama, as did my sister's best friend, who was more like a sister to her. So, you can be like, all right, we drove out of town, we rented an Airbnb or a hotel, rented cars and everything. My cousin Ryan actually flew up from Savannah,
So wait a minute. Let me back up. Let me back up. He's in Savannah.
He lives in Savannah, yes.
That's where my mom's side of the family, all that. And I told you I had the one cousin that rolled out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, that made me think about that because I was like, he from Savannah. I was like, are we related? Is this a whole?
He lives in Savannah, and you're not. We are not related.
Listen, we're gonna go with anyway. Go ahead.
Well, you can't be related to me on his mother's side, because I know his mother's side, and his father's side are these tall, light-skinned Cajun people.
No, that would not be it.
So
no. You might even, and it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if anybody ever paid attention to this, and maybe it's just me. I don't know. But the majority of my family, when I say majority, I mean like 90% of my family, brown like me.
Yeah.
Or darker. Now, my mother and my two cousins were the only oddballs that were not the same complexion. They were lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody, so that's, when I see my family, I'm like, if you act like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, my family, at least on my mother's side, is very homogeneously colored.
Mm-hmm.
And because my father's mother was when they said they got Indian in their family, like for real, got Indian in their family. There was a wider range of coloring on my father's side of the family. And then, it depended on the color of the wives that they married.
That part. Because grandmother, my father's mother, literally, when I say literally, Cherokee, like, I was like, what? I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But just as pale as a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Pale as a piece of paper.
And so, a bunch of people came back to the house, and that worked out fine. And we went through a bunch of photo albums and stuff. And then, Sunday was actually not a very good day. So, because there was just nothing left to do. Nothing. Even if I didn't do something every day, there was always something to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So, I ain't work on those 2 slideshows until I didn't start on those until a week ago, Wednesday, with scanning in all of the photos and then putting together the slideshow. Side note, a shout out to Sir O for giving me the Canva tutorial, which allowed me to quickly put those slideshows together. Because otherwise, I'm sure I could have done it in PowerPoint, but Canva is already set up. Depending on how much you want to customize it, all you got to do is literally drag and drop the photo in. And then I went the extra by saving it as an MP3 file, then using Movie Maker on my laptop to open the movie up and add music to it. And then all I did was literally add the track to the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the video and save that and say them girls on my desktop, and there we went.
Listen, it was cute, but I was laughing so hard because I was like, oh my God, look at Kendra. But look at little Brian.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was cute though. And I was laughing because I think it was me and Terry Grace and I were talking about the sponge rollers or whatever. And I was like, Lord.
If she was alive, she would have murdered me for posting a picture of her with them sponge rollers.
Baby, listen, it's either now or, because I remember they did that to my cousin at her high school graduation. Everybody's in the auditorium, and the last picture is my cousin on prom day with rollers in and the scarf around her head. She's like, I said, this is the way we end the high school graduation picture. And what is this, 1984, 5, something like that?
Right. And then, of course, we didn't get any of the pictures of her naked because as we were going, when everybody left, so it was just me, Barbara, and Deborah, who are now, the matriarchs of the family essentially. Now, on that side, they're my sister, they're my mother's first cousins.
Okay.
So I actually had an opportunity to say, because it was Ryan, my cousin Ryan, and my cousin Jasmine. And so I pointed, so somebody was like, well, how are you related?
I remember that moment.
I was like, I got it.
I remember that.
Wardell and Alvastein's grandmother and my grandmother were sisters. Because Ryan and Jasmine's grandmother and my grandmother are sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But at the end, me and Barbara and Deborah were going through all these photo albums that my mother had. And there were all of these naked pictures of me and Kendra. And, she would murder me if she knew that I was telling this story. But Kendra has had a chicken-shaped birthmark at the top of the crack of her ass. And there is lots of photos in the photo albums of her with that chicken. Just
So wait a minute. When you say chicken, do you mean chicken as in like a drumstick, a thigh? What are we talking
like
about?
a live chicken. It was shaped like a profile of a chicken.
Oh my God. Jesus. Okay. Okay. Well,
So yes, and so that is it was good. But yeah, Sunday I was just like, I don't have anything to do.
So
because everything is done, everything is paid for. All I need to do right now is go back to the funeral home and pick up the death certificate and pick up the ashes.
So my question to you is she the only person in the family with a birthmark?
No, but I get mine has well, you can barely see it, but my birthmark is right here.
Okay. So it's funny you should say that because all of my first cousins, we all have a birthmark of which is a mole in between on the right hand and also on the right foot. Every single cousin.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah.
So I get it. And I was always like, oh, I don't have a birthmark. And I was like, well, I guess I got this one little mole. Like, that's it. It's just boop, and then boop on my that's it. But every single cousin got it. So I'm good with it.
Yeah. And so, life will continue. So, there are obviously some opportunities now that I can take advantage of that I couldn't even sort of really entertain prior to March 14th. But, here we are.
Yeah, we're here. And listen, I will share this because we talked about this before. When my sister passed and I was there with my mom the whole week, like just for like 2 weeks, like getting stuff together. And then when I finally left to come back home, when I walked inside my door and I closed that door and I locked it and I sat down on my couch in complete and total silence for like the next hour and a half, maybe it was the best thing I'd ever experienced in my life because it was such a busy and hectic phone ringing, people stopping by, love you, kisses, run to the store, oh, hang out, let's do this, and oh, I'm gonna hug you, oh, I want to touch you, I want to. So when I sat down, that hour and a half was priceless.
Yeah.
Because my mind was no longer racing. Like you said, everything is over. You were like, all right, there's nothing to do. But for me, it wasn't bad. It was kind of like, breathe.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, it's also a little different because this day has been building up since June 19th. There are many days. I mean, Kendra hadn't lived at home. The last time Kendra was at home was October 19th. But before that, I mean, I spent most of the year last year anticipating that every time the phone rang, from either somebody's hospital or from the nursing home, that it was them saying, giving me the worst news. So when it finally did come, it was a shock because for whatever reason, I just wasn't expecting it that day.
Listen, no one is expecting it on any day, ever.
I had anticipated it every day, every time the phone rang, but I knew that something was going on. I knew that something was going on because I had heard from the nursing home, but they didn't give me any specifics. So when Howard University Hospital called me, I was like, oh, okay, so they're calling to tell me, her blood sugar was low or something. And so I was only half paying attention. And then once I finally heard like the words penetrated, it wasn't a fall because I was there with Sir O in Los Angeles prepping for the event. And then, that was when I finally started paying attention. So if the nursing home had left the kind of message that was like your sister was unresponsive and we finally got a pulse back and we're taking her back, then I might have been like, when the phone rang, I might have been like, let me step out, let me go. I just assumed it was a normal call like all of the other times where she, anyway. So yeah, it was a lot. And so it was over, and Sunday was bad because, although I had been in this house alone essentially since June, really. She was home for 45 or almost 60 days, but there's a finality to it. So,
well, listen, all I do know is I felt bad when I went over there, and when you called me about going to get her stuff, and I got over there and I was getting her stuff and everything, and then I was looking around, I was like, where's her phone? Here I am at the front desk. Baby Star Keisha was already out. I was like, excuse me, where is her phone? What is going on? I don't understand. I see the tablet. I see where's her phone? And I was like, hold on 1 second. I was going through the bag. I was like, I am so sorry. I apologize. I didn't see it. It was in the bag. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. My apologies. But baby, I was scared what was going on. But again, because I was sitting there thinking, like, let me apologize because I don't know where I was like, if she's still here.
All of them people at that nursing home, but I don't give a shit about their feelings because I'm trying to,
I was just concerned.
Part of me wants to sue, but there's nothing to sue for. It wasn't, the nursing home is just shitty. And even when I tell my story about how Kendra was treated, everybody says the same thing. Either they went through, it's usually they went through it with a grandmother or a cousin or niece or nephew or whatever. So nursing homes just suck.
They do
all together. So what are you going to do? So I'll just be glad that I don't ever have to deal with those people again. And if they ever do decide to do me the courtesy of calling me and expressing condolences or even saying something, then I will have some choice words.
Well, let's pray that they do not. I see Des jumped in the room. I'm going to say hello. Hey, say hello to Des.
And the last thing I'll say is thank you for those that watched the show here. Thank you to you and Grace and Tyra for showing up. I really did appreciate that. And for coming to the house and everything. The one I felt bad about is because Kendra was a lot like Denise, her best friend. So the rest of us were just like talking and chit-chatting and, the family. But Denise and her husband was just sitting on the sofa like alone. And I kept trying to engage them in conversation. But Denise, I'm not mad. I'm not saying I'm mad at all. But no, they just weren't.
Well, I mean, some people.
I want to be clear. Me and Denise are cool.
Right.
But me and Denise are not friends.
Right. Like sometimes it just doesn't work for them. Like they just don't want to be engaged in the conversation, or they may not necessarily feel comfortable because they don't know everybody in the room or whatever it is. Like they just
the only person that they knew in that room full of people was me.
Right. And like, what do you say? Like,
and I've only talked to Denise. I know Denise, but I don't know Denise.
Okay. And so this is one of the reasons why, when I feel like I'm close with people, why I introduce family members, because I don't ever want people to be like, oh, I don't know who that is. Child, listen, between Desmond and Eric and they be on the phone with my mom chit-chatting, watching Cheaters and shit. Like this motherfucker's on the phone watching Cheaters with my mom at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what? Like what? Mm-hmm. Listen, whole different relationship. But all my family is like, oh my God, who? So people know the people. Like when I bring my mom around to introduce them. So bringing her down here, introduce her to everybody like you, and then also Kevin and Derek and Mona and all that. Like all those people. Like some people know. Like listen, I don't want people to come around my family and not know who they are. I'm sorry. When I was more engaged with my family, I'm not
I
going
was
to
going to say, because if you just let me know, and I'll be like,
right now we're probably right now there's probably very little discussion that we're going to have. But again, if and when something does happen, then it'll be like, listen, I just want to point out to a few people, like, listen, I'm gonna need you to make sure that I'm exit this building at this time. I don't give a fuck.
oh baby, I'm gonna be right there by you.
Just exit
like,
the building.
6 o'clock. You said you wanted to leave at 6. It is 6 o'clock.
Baby, the secret service between Desmond and Eric and everybody else. Excuse me, what? Listen,
right.
I get it. So
I was even nice to my Uncle Gary.
So he was funny. He was funny. I liked him, but I also see that he wasn't a he may have been in a certain, at another point in time, not necessarily I'm not gonna talk crap type of guy. Like, I'm gonna just tell the truth and that's it. From how he saw it. Let me be clear about that. But your other uncle, the one that had the car, that's the one I thought was going to be there. And I was like, your father's brother.
I mean, they're all my father's brother, but no, that one has dementia. So
okay. So that's who I was waiting to show, because when I saw him, I was
he didn't even he has dementia. So Gary said that he didn't even tell him
that. Listen, that is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made for my mother. When my grandmother passed, I was like, I'm not telling her. I'm not doing that. I don't. And
so she still doesn't know. Yeah, she probably. I would just send her into a spiral unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me be clear. I never told her, and I told the family not to tell her. But I know there's always that one raggedy ass cousin that went up and it's like, oh, well, blah blah blah.
And that was her mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but again, that's one. But I get it, that conversation. But I was looking forward to him because I was waiting for him to say something. I was thinking he was going to be there so he could say something funny, because you were talking about the shucking and jiving and the sideways stories of like, so listen, if you take the points, right, and you get the points. Because I was gonna be like,
I mean, the only reason that Gary is there is because he saw the post on Facebook.
Okay, so we're gonna let that go. But hey, listen,
I called Deborah, and if you want the word to go out, just call Deborah.
One family member, yes.
And Deborah will let everyone. And I don't mean that in shady at all, but she definitely, and Deborah is like 66 or whatever, but she was close enough in age to me, so she was. I mean, they're just cousins. It's not like they're aunts or anything, but she always seemed more like just a big sister, than anything else. But hey, eccentric. But yeah, so that's all done. They all got back home safely, and
well, good. That's your little cousin, the little one. Oh my God, he was adorable. Absolutely adorable.
That was my first time ever meeting him or his big brother. I had never seen them two people before in my life.
So that big brother was like, listen, I'm ready to lay down and go to sleep.
I was like, girl, are you on drugs or something? Because he was always asleep.
Listen, you 13, 14, 15 years of age, and you don't want to be someplace, and you be like, all right, let me just go to sleep. I don't feel like being bothered.
Right.
They don't have no kids.
Yeah, Nasir was cute. So,
yeah. But he was that sweet little boys. Cute. But everybody was nice in your family that I met.
Yeah, so it was, and I promised him that I would stay in closer contact, which means I'll probably go like once a year. I want to be clear. If don't expect me to be schlepping down to Montgomery, Alabama on a frequent basis, but I can commit to going like once a year.
Baby, I loves my home, and I talks about the people, and I still have friends and family there. Baby, I goes home. Listen, in the past couple of years, how many times have I gone home and you have not been there? Yeah. It's
because they live so far away and in a place that I don't necessarily want to go.
Okay.
Now maybe if my family was from Atlanta, I might see them more often because I could just be like, hey, while we're there in Atlanta, I might be like, I'm about to dip away for 2 hours and go see them and come back. But there's never a reason for me to be in Montgomery, Alabama.
Listen, I get it. But
Now, some people might be like, but your family lives there. That is the reason.
Listen, that traveling it becomes a lot. It does. It becomes a lot. But yeah, it is.
So, but I didn't, and I told him, I was like, I want to make it clear that I don't have anything against y'all. I said, I was going to be clear, I just don't like Alabama.
Right.
And Deborah was like, the whole state? I was
like, yeah, you just
no, y'all cool, but I just don't like the state. So, but I told them that I would come down for Thanksgiving, which will be a good time to like spread the ashes and do a bunch of other stuff and whatever. Okay. But yeah, so that's that. So enough about all of that. Hey eccentric, hey best friend.
Hey best friend.
Best friend is helping us out because he is
yes.
finding
Thank you.
He has either has booked or will book.
He booked he be on it. I'm like, come on, like, dude, come on.
Episode 300 will be on Saturday, June 21st in person. So it's going to be a little bit of an extravaganza. Oh yes, and for Pride Week we're going to see Bob and I was going to say SpongeBob. Bob and Monet at Sibling Rivalry. Yes, we can do a walkthrough maybe this weekend.
Okay. Works for me.
So we'll be putting together a flyer and everything for episode 300 and everything. So, it'll be, honestly, we will be doing an actual taping of the show, but the whole thing will be, live and in person and blah blah blah.
Right. So we oh wait, so let's but we best friend, remember we talked about the view from certain living rooms and stuff. So we have to have a little walk through a conversation about this whole.
Yeah, we'll figure some time. Oh, okay. Next weekend will be even better because this weekend is filling up.
Okay. All right. No problem. But anyway, I sent you a text message with something that I thought was pretty funny. I don't know
was I supposed to show that?
I mean, if you want to, I'm just,
I can.
It ain't nothing, nothing major, but I thought it was something funny.
Let me get the world pulled open. All right, so all right.
What in the faggotry are you talking? What in the faggotry are you talking? What in the faggotry are you talking?
So some of the kids had very specific feelings about this, and I want to be clear that Gail was just repeating a quote from Mateo Lane's book. So I'm gonna need you to get over yourself.
Listen. I feel like I don't know. I feel like sometimes it is. I feel like sometimes people decide to take on gay slang, gay lingo, and not know what it means or how to properly use it, or they try to show that they are down and okay with and understand or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I get it. That's fine. This cute, you know, to acknowledge it. But in this context, it was she said it jokingly, and I kind of got, it was very double entendre at this particular point. It was jokingly, it was done, you know, as a homage to what he said, and she halfway kind of meant it. And so it's like it's a whole different thing. So it's like, I don't know. And like eccentric, we can't continue to call Gail a lesbian and then get offended by this. Listen, because I don't care what you say. I have said that several different times. And, you know, Oprah has said, listen, that's not how I live my life. That's not who I am. And, you know, that's, you know, it is what it is.
So, but, you know, to be fair, so is Queen Latifah.
But I think, didn't she come out about that at this particular point?
Not as far as I know.
I thought she talked about the type of women that oh, you know what? I think that was, I know what it was. I saw a video of her chatting with the Girls Trip cast. And they were talking about, like, they called her, whatever. She was saying something about, well, you know what type of girls I like or whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of.
Yeah, as far as I know, Queen Latifah is not out. But for me, this was entirely different than, like, Tamar Braxton using gay slang or whatever. Gail was literally just quoting something someone else said.
Tamar, well, first of all, Tamar just does the most. So we have to start with that. We have to just start with that. She's just extra. So I'm just gonna,
right.
She's just extra. But the fact that she doubled down,
extra, read all.
Yeah, but she's doubling down and tripling down. That's a whole nother thing. But whatever.
Right. All right. So hold on.
So you said she's out, she's married. I thought I read something about that. I thought I did, but I mean,
people may be married, and she may be. Well, I could be very wrong, but yeah,
I very well
pictures of her with her. I think her wife's name is Ebony or whatever. But it's one of those things where she don't ever talk about it,
right?
And you know, the couple of times, I mean, I think at this point, no one even asks her to her face. But she just started being visible with her wife and just never talked about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
So
I get it.
All right. So get in. We are not going to watch this whole 14-minute video. We're going to watch like the first 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then, of course, the mute.
Boyfriend, a 27-year-old man. Today, I found out that everyone else was lying and he was being truthful.
Oh, no. Oh,
I think I submitted this story.
What?
I found this story. I remember sending it to you guys.
I'm already sad.
This story is crazy. A year ago, I was about to move in with my first serious boyfriend, Josh, with whom I was head over heels in love, when one of my closest friends said that Josh had shown them a nude photo of me on his phone when he was drunk during a party. 5 or 6 more of my friends corroborated the story and told me that Josh also talked in extreme detail about our sex life when showing the photo. It was sickeningly detailed. This did not sound at all like Josh. When I asked him what the fuck was going on, he denied everything. He eventually got very angry and started calling all of my friends liars. At one point, he showed up at my place while some of them were visiting, and things got a little physical. It was really a very strange turn of events in my life. Josh seemed so worked up, and all of my close friends were calling him a liar. Josh had taken photos of me on his phone, which I know was stupid, but heat of the moment and everything. So I trusted my friends and I broke up with Josh. It was heart-wrenching. Josh begged me to believe him. He started tearing up, nearly punched the wall, and left angrily. I was really grossed out at the time and felt super conflicted. A few months later, I started dating one of the friends, Alex, who had told me about Josh showing everyone the photo. All of my friends were pushing me to date Alex at the time. We didn't really sync, and it didn't go past a few months, but we remained friends of sorts. So today, another friend sent me a message that said he just wanted to get something off his chest. The story about Josh wasn't true, and they were really trying to get me to date Alex. So they made up that story about Josh. After talking to a few of the other people, including Alex, it's all come out that they were lying. It was this fucking orchestrated bullshit event that totally changed my life forever. Apparently, they hated Josh and thought he was bad for me and an asshole. That was my fucking decision. I'm shaking right now. I cried in the office bathroom for about 2 hours afterwards. I loved Josh so much. We were planning a life together, and I've been friends with that group since high school. What the f***? I guess I'm supposed to stop talking to my friends, right? I cannot possibly come back from this and still talk to them, right? This basically nukes my group of friends. But how could I even look at them again? Also, I need closure with Josh. Can I call him? Should I call him? Should I unblock him on Facebook and message him? What do I do?
Oh, honey.
That's a nightmare.
Oh my
That's a
god.
nightmare situation. Like,
won't need to listen to the whole thing, but when I saw this, I was just like, what the fuck?
Like,
Because, bitch.
that's a lot.
That's a lot. So like my first thing is whenever there is a group of friends and it's like a mixed group, meaning male and female, the dude in the group wants to fuck at least one of the people in the group, but has settled, at least for the moment, for being friend zoned. And just this whole thing, and I'm like, so I don't even understand. If you listen to the whole thing, this guy Josh, the boyfriend, seemed like a nice enough person. I mean, what person is perfect? But the one thing I learned, one of my best friend's mother, you hear me say all the time, I don't get into grown folks' business. And I learned that lesson because that friend mother, that friend and my best friend and roommate from college were dating, but then they had, I'm not going to go into business they did in their life because they've been married for almost 30 years now. Yeah, it'll be 30 years in 2027. But at the time when we was all in college, they went through some things that I got involved in because I did not want to have sex really with either of them. But because the one dude was my roommate, no. But the dude was my roommate, and the girl was like my best friend, like my little sister, and we were all in this coeducational fraternity together. And so the dude was depending on the man code for me and the other roommate not to be like all these women that was running in and out of the house. We found out he was using us for cover to be like, oh, I was hanging out with Brian and the other person. I don't want to name any people's name for anybody that don't know the whole story. But anyway, so at one point I told the girl who I knew before the roommate, I was like, so here's the thing. It's a lot going on with your man. A lot going on with your man. And they broke up for like 3-4 months. And I was like, I was like, God, I didn't feel bad about anything I did or said, although some dudes were like, why did you get involved? I was like, you're a shitty person if you think that I was supposed to look my best girl, my road dog. That was Ren to my Stimpy. Those are our line names. Ren and Stimpy. You think I was supposed to look her in her face and when she was writing her, let's say her name was Monique Johnson and my roommate's name was Michael Brown. She was writing her name in her notebook like she was 10 years old. Monique Johnson Brown, like over and over again. She was in love with this man. And so you think I was just going to be there like, yeah, he's cool. No, bitch, that's not the kind. I don't, someone was like bros before hoes. I was like, yes, generally, I mean, if I don't know her, if I didn't know her, this would have been none of my fucking affair. But, I knew both of them. So I was like, absolutely not. So they broke up for like 3-4 months, but then they got back together and then they got married and they've been married for 28 years at this point. But as a rule, I don't get in the grown folk business like this. And you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. We know someone who is engaged to someone that we detest. But they're going to have to figure that out on themselves. Because unless and until those they break up, you're never going to hear it from me. And even if I felt like I had to say something, I would not make up some lie, because baby, the truth is always way more powerful than a lie. They could have just said, we just really don't like this dude for whatever reason. But if you listen to it more, the dude Alex was the ringleader in getting them all to make up this lie, mainly so that he could fuck old girl.
Listen, you and I have similar lives and similar stories. What's up, Spiller Boy? We have similar lives and similar stories, because I swear to God, your Ren and Stimpy, it was original. There was a Will and Grace before there was a Will and Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And you think I'm ready to turn on my Grace?
Right. She looking at me in tears, like,
And the difference is
my relationship, and then I'm supposed to be like, I don't know what the problem is.
But the difference is, it was Grace that was doing the most. But again, you think I'm ready to turn on my? No, we're not doing that. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I get it, and you be like, I don't do domestic. Listen, that is probably the best decision I've ever made. When I tell people all the time I don't do domestics, baby, y'all handle it. Listen, they still together to this day. They've been happily. Listen, they got a tribe of people around them, and
right. And what I know now is that when we are young, sometimes people feel obligated to make commitments when they're not ready. And sometimes it takes losing that commitment or losing that person to realize that that's really the person that you want to be with. Because I want to be clear, all of this was going on inside of our circle. So, but no one knew what was going on. So it wasn't like it was this big, huge thing that almost blew up the whole group or whatever, because 90% of people didn't even know anything about it. And that was how they wanted it. But yeah, I was just like, oh God, it was so messy and confused. And so after that one time, I was like, I do not get into grown folks' business.
Listen, yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty messy story.
Yeah, and as she was telling, I was like, so what would I do with the friends?
So yeah, like, because for me, I would absolutely, I feel like I owe that person an apology, because I let someone get in between my relationship with them. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, at some particular point, me and all these friends, there would be a cuss out or a good letting alone, because I can't trust you. I can't. Why am I around you like this? What am I doing? You don't have my best interest at heart. I don't like. What are we doing? Like, I don't like that.
So 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like for the boyfriend, you either unblock him or I would unblock him, but then I would not attempt to contact him on like Facebook. I would like email him or some other channel, and then leave it up to him to decide if he wants to have any communication with me. You know what I mean? Because by unblocking him and contacting him on Facebook, it's like you're almost making him feel obligated to respond in that platform, which he could just block you back and be like, fuck this bitch and fuck all your fucking friends,
fuck that bitch, to the condom slip. Okay.
Right. But I would definitely say something to him and then let him know. And I might even give him like, oh yeah, and Alex's address is 123 Main Street in case he want to run up on that dude, because that's just crazy. And I would cut all of them off because that's just crazy work to me that they would make up a full story and then go all in on it.
Right. That's the part that gets me. It's not just the story that was made up. It's that everybody's going in on it. So it's like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, what else have y'all done? What else have you done at my expense?
Yeah, I agree with Lola. Lola said, dump all your friends, apologize to the ex, but don't try to reconcile. And 3, go to therapy. Exactly, because now it's like whatever other friends you get, how can you ever, like, so, and it's everybody has a group of friends, male, female, black, white, gay, straight, bi, trans, whatever. Everybody has a friend or a group of friends that they talk to about their relationships. And after this, how can you ever trust that your friends don't have an ulterior motive? Now, let's just be clear. Whenever I give advice, I always tell someone, I was like, I'm only giving you this advice through the lens of my own life's experience. So factor that in. Right. I'm telling you how the shit worked out, how I think the shit might work out based on the fucked up shit that has happened to me in my life. That does not mean this is exactly how it's going to go down for you. So I want you to be clear up front as I'm giving you this advice that I'm not mad if you don't take the advice, because you're grown, and if it works out, perfect. You might be married for 28 years and have 2 grown children. Or you might learn a lesson here. But, some people some people get real offended if they ask you for advice and you don't take it. I'm like, girl, no, you asked me for advice. You didn't ask me to rule your life. But yeah, how can you trust that any advice that any group of friends is going to tell you later? So you definitely need some therapy, because you are going to have severe trust issues.
Yeah, I didn't think about the therapy part. But I know for me, it'll be like, not only give them a good letting alone, I'd be like, I feel like.
First of all, I would fight all of them.
Well, probably. More than likely, I would. Like, I'm not even going to sit back and say probably. More than likely, I would. Because I know how I am. Because I'll be like, like, at the door.
Look, it's going to have to be like Vera Walker. Me and you're going to have to step out back.
Baby, listen. That's what we're doing.
Right.
I don't know. I just, the therapy part, I didn't really think about that because I know I would probably just want to be let alone. But like I've said before, and several people, in this group I've heard me say, baby, I don't need no more new friends. I don't need because I know the ones I have. I don't need no new friends. So the folks that have snuck in within the last 10 years of my life, baby, they have snuck in. They have snuck in. And that's a good thing, because they've done nothing but add to my life. But again, I ain't out here in the market looking for, baby.
Right.
It took me a long time for them to get to know me, and for me to get to know them. It took me a long time. Whatever they may feel about me, at the end of the day, they still value the friendship just like I do. And that's all I need. That's it. That's all I need.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got just 3 Instagrams.
Okay.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Baby, I felt that down in my shut up.
Right. So, because bitch, do you know that someone that was born on 9/11 is about to be 24 years old?
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, well, I was like, bitch, no one asked you what you think. No
baby. One. Oh, my God, my God, my God.
And here's the thing. I'm willing to hear what you have to say because everybody brings a perspective, but it always be that one young bitch who ain't owned nothing in their life, ain't done nothing with their life, but be walking around with the loudest, most ignorant ass take based on them riding this planet around the sun 23 times.
Listen, I'm here for this. And what's his name? What's his
Jon
name?
Stewart.
Jon Stewart. Baby, I loves me some Jon Stewart. I do. I just something about his comedy and the way he did. I loves me some Jon Stewart. But this right here, yes, it spoke to my spirit. It spoke all the way down to my shot. I felt down in my shot. Mm-hmm.
What? Why? You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. What? Why? You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem.
Baby.
Once again, spoke and I felt it down in my shot.
Mm-hmm. I have had more than my fair share of conversations, and they're like, well, why didn't you come to me? I was like, bitch, you are the problem, honey. How can the problem help with the problem?
Right, Lola. Right there, Lola. Soul.
In my soul.
Yes. In my soul. In my soul. Mm-hmm.
Whatever career goals, financial goals, whatever the fuck you got going on that you want to achieve, you do not need to be sharing that with anybody at your fucking job. Okay? I can tell you right now that there have been times that I have shared things and all of a sudden it is fucking public knowledge. Okay? That is why when people ask a question, when people ask this, nothing. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't doing much. They don't need to know what the fuck you got going on. And sometimes people try to overshare because they feel like it'll help them be more personable. But really, it makes you vulnerable in the workplace. So if you are applying for new jobs, you are trying to get the fuck up out of this situation, maybe you trying to buy a new car, whatever it is, people be hating. And it may be something that is so small to you, so little to you, something that you feel like is just not a fucking big deal. But if they can't fucking do it, they gonna hate your ass and they gonna try and do everything they can to fucking block you. And I know it's people gonna be like, everybody ain't out to get you. Everybody ain't. But until a bitch prove that they not, you move accordingly. Whatever.
Amen.
Baby.
Until they prove that they're not, you move accordingly.
Baby. Some words have been spoken today on this on this sermon, on this 291st sermon of the BGKH show. There was some words.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yes, God. Yes, God. God is in the air. Everywhere. Over there. Over here. In my hair. God is in the air. God is in the air.
It just would never even occur to me, even now, even though I am, even though I'm sort of more quote unquote out than I have been at any previous job, girl, I still don't get the girls too much. You know how sometimes the girls will be like, yeah, so this weekend I was at the Pride Parade, or I went to Mid-Atlantic Leather Weekend, or I'll be like, girl, these hoes don't deserve none of this personal information about my life and who the fuck I hang out with and where I'm going and what I'm doing on vacation and, all kinds of stuff because, the girls use it against you.
Listen, I remember having that conversation and I shared with my direct report.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't give a fuck. Let me be clear with her. But I remember sharing that. And then, of course, it's always one of the things where like, oh, well, I've done this and I've done that and I've been here. But she literally talked about how she went to a, I can't remember what the place is in Baltimore, the warehouse, but whatever. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We've been there. I just don't know the name of it. I know where it is. I just can't. But I was like, okay, well, great. We don't talk too much about it.
Yeah.
We don't talk too much about it. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. That's all.
Well, you got some stories for us, Puddin'?
I do. So listen, there's been some stuff hanging out in the rumor mills, and I don't know why. Did you get that email from me? Did that come through for you for some reason? I don't know why.
The email didn't come through, so I had to go through and find it on the drive.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't come through, but I'll check my email anyway. But so listen, there's been some rumors circulating around about the Obamas, and there's been some divorce rumors. And Michelle Obama says she's tired of people jumping to conclusions. And this is something that was found out on Yahoo.com one day. I was sitting there, I was looking at this. So our former FLOTUS has been married to our former POTUS for over 30 years. And she usually doesn't really address comments about stuff, but this one she just kind of felt like she wanted to, make some comments on. She said, and I quote, "The interesting thing is that when I say no, for the most part, people are like, I get it, and I'm okay. That's the thing that we as women, I think we struggle with disappointing people. I mean, so much so that this year they couldn't even fathom that I was making a choice for myself, that they had to assume that my husband and I were divorcing." She said, this couldn't be a grown woman just making a set of decisions for herself. And she's 61. And she said, but that's what society does to us. She said, we start actually finally going, what am I doing? What am I doing this for? And if it doesn't fit into the sort of stereotype of what people think we should do, then it gets labeled as something negative and horrible. She talked about this and during a conversation with Sophia Bush. And, both Barack and Michelle have two kids, Malia and also Sasha. Malia, who's 26, and Sasha, who's 23 now. But she was talking about how she was going to be making these big girl decisions. And then she's also saying to herself, again, if not when, what am I waiting for? How am I going to spend the 20 years? She's like, now is the time for me to start asking myself these hard questions of who do I truly want to be every day? And she says she's trying to do that more and more. And what does that look like? And she said, it finally looks like whatever I wanted to look like. And I still find time to give speeches and to be out there in the world and work on projects. So like she's answering these questions with people by saying, baby, I'm a grown adult. I am a degreed person, professional, lawyer, et cetera, so forth. I just so happen to be married to the president who has the same titles and accomplishments other than the only thing we don't share in common is the POTUS part, but I have an FL in front of mine. I'm the FLOTUS.
Right.
Now, Barack did mention in this same kind of article later on, because he was talking about some stuff as well, about how with the back-to-back presidencies, it had an impact on their relationship. And he just said he felt like he was in a deep deficit with his wife. And so he said he's been trying to dig himself out of that hole by doing occasional, fun things or whatever. But that's as deep as they're going to go. But basically, what I took from this article was they're not getting divorced. They're getting older. They're also reacclimating themselves to being regular citizens with a Secret Service detail for life. But again, they're just making some decisions because at this particular point, it's not like Michelle can go out and get a job somewhere. I mean, she really can go and do that. But like, would she though? Like, does she want to go back into practicing law? Like, I mean, could she do it on her own and start her own practice? Absolutely. But like, does she want to do that at this particular point? And like she said,
yeah, and no law firm would be willing to hire her in a position like that because she has Secret Service protection,
right?
And that makes that whole firm a target. That means everybody that comes to that firm, you trying to get even if you are a fairly large, well-off client, people now that law firm, that building in and of itself is a target. That's why when like when people say, "Oh, if I made won the lottery and had this millions of dollars, I would still work my job at Walmart," they would not let you continue to work there because all of those people that work there, all of those customers will be like, "Oh, Epic Onyx is a cashier here, but he's also a millionaire. He just liked the job. He like interacting with the people. But we're gonna hold all these people and we're gonna kill." One person an hour if Epic doesn't give us, $100 million, and then even if you give them and pay up the ransom, Walmart is going to be sued for putting those other people at risk. Now, I just want to be clear. That would never happen to you because, baby, as soon as you'd be like 6, 19, 43, 56, you'd already start sending to whom it may concern, FUC. Hold on, let me see what the Powerball number is. 7. Fuck you, bitches. I'm out. Actually, until you get that first payment, don't send nothing because you don't want to be.
Well, yeah, because from what I understand, it takes about it's 3 to 6 months for money to show up, type of thing, when it's a large payment, I think. And you probably during that time should have conversations with a financial planner. All these, I'm waiting because
baby, speaking into existence because I got some numbers I need to check.
Baby, listen, we have this conversation all the time. Spiller Boy and I have this conversation all the time when I go to bingo. Playing the Powerball, the Mega Millions. Listen, we have this conversation all the time, and I can't wait for the day that I go and hit that thing and it says, "Bling, bling, bling, you are a winner."
Mm-hmm. And and so for Michelle, I'm sure she was like, "Listen, we already knew that she didn't like Donald Trump by her facial expressions at the first inauguration, but she was like, I'm the outgoing first lady. This is part of the game." She cussed Barack out again that night. She was like, but then she's like, "Baby, I am just a private citizen at this point, and there's no impact if I don't go." And at this point, I'm sure Barack might have even been like, "But I really need you to be there." She was like, "Absolutely not. I promised you I will put up with this shit for 8 years. I put up with it for 8 years. I did what I needed to do. I don't need to go. Technically, you don't need to go, but I understand why you want to go. But baby, I don't have any official office."
Let me give you my best Bugs Bunny impression.
No. All right, what's next?
So listen, in other news or celebrity news, Tony Braxton's son, Denham, he's a college graduate. He is 23 years old, and he walked across the stage and to get his degree, and his mother and his father were there. Tony sent out a post on social media where she says, "Our firstborn is officially a college graduate." And she said, "Words can't even express how proud I am of you. I can't wait to see all the amazing things you do." And she puts proud boy mom and hearts or whatever. Then, because he attended the Grand Canyon University and studied sports management during his time there, his choice to study sports management isn't a surprise considering he used to play basketball when he attended Oaks Christian High School. Now, when a 23-year-old isn't busy studying, he's in his modeling bag. He and his younger brother Diesel walk as a part of the designer Marcel von Berlin's Spring 22 runway show in Los Angeles. Denham also praised his parents for teaching him the quote-unquote biggest lesson. And it says, "Nothing comes easy. You have to work for what you want in life and never limit yourself to one thing." He said, "This is a lesson that keeps on giving." And so, listen, we're sending out the congratulations to Denham. So congratulations. And I'm glad that her son was able to have a college experience as if he were, I don't want to say a normal, non-famous person, because I'm sure people knew who his mom was. But I feel like at Grand Canyon University, at this small space he was probably one of a handful of people. He probably just blended into the crowd, just like much of everybody else that does, especially at the Black Degree Factory. Because I just realized the other day, one of Stevie Wonder's kids goes there, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool." Again, you get to a point where you're like, all right, whatever. But anyway, today is April the 9th, and many of you may celebrate 420. So I found this article about the Republicans and the date 420. So, because last year conservatives were outraged over Easter and the Trans Day of Visibility. And here's the thing: the Trans Day of Visibility is usually on March the 31st, but it's been floating around. And this year it was it the 31st this year, or was it, because it was a little bit afterwards? I thought. I don't think
it's always March 31st.
It's on the 31st. Okay. So the 31st happened for Trans Day of Visibility, and the Republicans and some of the conservatives are very upset about just even having this. Even during Donald Trump's presidential campaign, he demanded that Joe Biden apologize to Christians and claimed that the proclamation that he put out for Trans Visibility Day was part of the administration's years-long assault on the Christian faith. And the proclamation was there to honor the extraordinary courage and ambition of the extraordinary courage and contributions of transgender Americans. Well, here's the other thing. That was March 31st. 420 actually falls on Easter this year. And so the conservatives and the Republicans are very, very upset about this. Not to say that the White House was going to do anything about 420, but they're mad that this day falls on Easter. Next year, I think Easter falls at the beginning of the month, and it just so happens to be a coincidence. But listen, here's where we are. This is what we got going on, and you really can't stop it, and people are still going to celebrate. So don't get mad. Go on and light yourself up something and go ahead and celebrate 420, or go ahead and celebrate Trans Visibility Day on March 31st, where, because some of y'all are in the closet doing that anyway. But I digress. I take that back. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be objective, but this is where we are. And I hate to say her name, but even Caitlyn Jenner was,
who gives a shit?
Annoyed and, or as she said, absolutely disgusted, because they're mad about 420.
I don't care. Fuck her. Let's keep it moving.
But again, it's Caitlyn Jenner, so anyway, I'm gonna go on to the next story, because these stories are becoming harder and harder for me to find some good, worthy stories. Because I don't want to do. Listen, I do not want to do the news. I don't want to do the political stuff. The political stuff is out there all the time, and I swear I'm trying not to do it. I'm trying to keep it very light and
yeah, we don't. Yeah, the news is our. Yeah, you can, if you want the new hard news, then you can watch the.
But
news.
Yeah, don't come on this side. So I'm just trying to find some cute stuff. So do me a favor. Can you pull up this link, because I want people to see these pictures. The Legends of Broadway. So there were some pictures for that were done of these called Legends of Broadway by photographer who went and took all these legends who had their roles when they were at their, I'm not saying the height of their career, but when they were younger, or when they made a mark in these roles. So for instance, when such movies as Evita and Cabaret and The Wiz, and they took all of these legends that are of Broadway and decided to cast them into these characters or into these roles as far as what they look like now. So this is Rita Moreno, who's 93, and because she was in a play called The Ritz, and this is her. If you zoom into that picture, it tells you who she's actually playing. Her character, is it Erica? Say it again.
Okay.
Yeah, as Googie Gomez. Is that what that is? Yeah, as Googie Gomez in The Ritz. They did one. If you go to the next picture, they did Liza Minnelli, who is playing
herself
in her Liza with a Z thing. Or I'm sorry, Liza with a Z show. And then the next one they had, I think it's Patti LuPone. Yep.
Yes.
Who was playing Evita. Eva Peron in the play Evita. The next one, and let's be clear, Patti LuPone is 75, Liza Minnelli is 79. The next picture they showed was Dick Van Dyke, who is 99. He was playing Albert Peterson in his role on Broadway as Bye Bye Birdie, which happened in 1960. And listen, Dick Van Dyke still could actually move, which is really
Yeah.
weird. He's 99 years, he could still move. And I think I saw somewhere not too long ago where he was tap dancing something. It might have been a Kennedy Center, but he still can move. But anyway, this next picture, Joel Grey, his daughter was in Dirty Dancing. Jesus, I can't even get this together. Was in Dirty Dancing, but this is him playing the MC for Cabaret, which is what he originally did in 1966. This next picture was actually Barbara Streisand in Funny Girl, and she did this in 1964. And today at 83, she gave us a picture of Fanny Bryce in Funny Girl. When I tell you, Miss motherfucking Barbara Streisand looks amazing for 83 years of age. When I listen, Barbara, girl, you're slaying the kids. The next picture is Whoopi Goldberg, where she was doing her Broadway show, and one of her characters was the little girl from her show, the Whoopi Goldberg. And again, Whoopi, who is 69, that's all I didn't know she was just 69. I felt like she was older for some reason. But again, she's 69, and she did this play or this Broadway role in 1984. And
baby, I wore the grooves out of that record.
Baby, around the
world in 18 motherfucking days.
Baby, listen, it was phenomenal. And this last picture is Andre DeShields, who was he reimagined his character as the Wiz when he was in the play The Wiz. Listen, Andre DeShields is 79 years old. And if I remember correctly, I believe Andre DeShields was someone that disclosed his health issues and all things he had going on. Baby, Andre DeShields looks amazing.
Yeah, he does.
In this picture. So, and he did this original role in 1974 and got his platforms on and everything. Baby, I'm here for you. I'm here for it, Andre. Do your shit. I thought this was a great idea. I think this was a great magazine thread. And it gives people a way to connect with the past. And so you're trying to figure out why people are in the spotlight now because of things that they've done before, because they've had these legendary moments, these legendary plays, these legendary opportunities, or opportunities that they made legendary because of who they were. I think that's a great photo shoot. A lot of these people here. So congratulations on that picture in New York Magazine. Some famous birthdays this week. Listen, actor Billy D. Williams. And when I was a kid, Billy D. Williams, for every brown woman, he was their husband. And growing up, if you tell me as a kid that I need to get real fly and I need to get real smooth, I need to get real polished, the reference that you gave me was Billy D. Williams. Listen, I went through this phase where I was combing my hair back. I was going straight back like Billy D. I was trying to listen, but Billy D. Williams is 88. I'm just giving him his props, and I love Billy D. Director Francis Ford Coppola turns 86. Songwriter Leon Huff of Gamble and Huff, Philly's finest, is 83. Barry Levinson, the director who did Rain Man and Natural, is 83. John Ratzenberger turns 78. John Ratzenberger is not Norm, but from Cheers, the mailman. I can't think of his name. What is
that guy? Yeah,
I can't think of his name. But anyway, he was 78. Mary Lou Henner turned 73. Dennis Quaid turned 71, along with Jackie Chan, who turned 71. Talk show host Joe Scarborough of Morning Joe is 62. Russell Crowe turned 61. Russell Crowe looks... that's all you are, 61? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Rapper, actor Christopher Kid Reed of Kid and Play is 61 as well.
What?
Right. Actress, model Paulina Perskova turns 60. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, baby, go back and watch Dracula and his wives that were in the bed. One of the three models, one of them is Paulina Perskova. She's the one she has dark brown hair, but she's 60. Listen, she still looks amazing. Bill Bellamy turned 60 as well. Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City, who I absolutely adored her character because I felt like for a lot of people, I kind of always kind of fell into that particular role. She's 59. Robin Wright turns 59. Patricia Arquette turns 57. Paul Rudd turns 56. That's Ant-Man. Ari Myers from Kate and Alley is 56. Jason Harvey from The Wonder Years is 53. Rapper producer Pharrell Williams turns 52. Pharrell looks like he is 41 years old. I don't know what deal he done made with the devil, but that man is not aging at all.
He's a vampire.
Yeah, he's not aging at all. Zach Braff turns 50. Candace Cameron Bure, she turns 49, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, her.
Sterling Brown turns 49. Robert Glasper turns 40.
Fine man right there.
He's
not really fine in the face to me, but his body is spectacular.
All right. Robert Glasper's 47. Keisha Knight Pulliam turns 46.
Rudy is 46 years old.
Rudy is 46.
Little Rudy. Rudolph Huxtable.
Who got a baby by Ed Hartwell.
Right.
Baby.
46 years old.
Ed Hartwell was tearing them cheeks up. I'm sure. Listen, call me Ed. Anyway. Actor Taran Noah Smith from Home Improvement. He was the youngest son, just so we're clear about that. He turns 41. Jasmine Sullivan turns 38 this week. Kristen Stewart turns 35. Charlie McDermott from The Middle is 35. He was actually the youngest son there as well. Rapper Lil Nas X celebrates a birthday. He is 26. That's it. Other birthdays, Hugh Hefner had a birthday. Ponce de Leon, a Spanish explorer, had a birthday. William Kellogg, the cereal manufacturer. Billie Holiday, jazz singer. James Garner, actor. Merle Haggard, a musician. Booker T. Washington, educator and an African-American leader. Spencer Tracy is an actor. Betty Davis, an actress. Gregory Peck, an actor. And Colin Powell, American general and statesman, also celebrated birthdays this past week as well. And so, yeah, that's all I got for birthdays this week. I did want to talk about some news of the weird. Here's a couple of stories. So Pat DeReamer of Louisville, Kentucky, and Mary Wheaton go way back, all the way to 1944 in Indianapolis, when Wheaton gave DeReamer a birthday card for her 14th birthday on April 1st. When Wheaton's birthday came around a month later, DeReamer added her own message to the same card and gave it back to Wheaton. Now, for the past 81 years, they've been sending the card back and forth. They said, we never said we were going to do this. It just happened. And now that they're in their 90s, the old friends don't get together as much, but they remain really good friends. But I thought that was a cute story. So
yeah, that's a cute little tradition.
Yeah, it's cute. Here's a cautionary tale from Minot, North Dakota. Mayor Tom Ross resigned on April 1st, which some might find a fitting date for his ignominious. Ignominious or ignominious?
Ignominious.
Say it again.
Ignominious.
Oh, ignominious downfall. KMOT TV reported that Ross was the subject of a complaint made in late January by the city attorney, Stephanie Stahlheim, who said she had received a sexually explicit text from Ross. Ross admitted he had made a video of himself masturbating during his lunch break, intending to send it to his romantic partner. Now, he says, I do take responsibility for this mistake. I tried to immediately correct it and was unable. So,
who among us have not been like... Send. No!
Yeah, because I'm gonna let that go. Next story. In Delhi, India, Patti Badmash, a 27-year-old pickpocket. In Delhi, India's Patti Badmash, a 27-year-old pickpocket named Deepak was finally arrested on March 24th. Deepak is famous for committing thefts and knife-related crimes, then soiling his pants, creating a stench so terrible that it kept officers away from him. This time, however, they armed themselves with gloves and masks. The team gave him chase and pinned him down. As expected, he deployed his famous filth plan, but the officers thwarted his last-ditch effort and took him in custody. When they searched him, they found a knife, which Deepak described as his lucky charm. During questioning, he admitted to multiple mobile phone thefts and other crimes. Baby, you can't pay me that much money to wrestle some man now that smells like poop.
Right. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what was he eating we've
all
all smelled someone that soiled themselves, and for it to be so bad that you, as a sworn police officer, It's like, you know what? I'm gonna just
Listen.
let you go with this.
They are in Delhi. Listen, they're in Delhi, India. We know the spices are a plenty. But I digress. Last story: a 56-year-old Warsaw, Poland cleaner is facing up to 20 years behind bars after she was caught putting cleaning fluid in a coworker's drinks. The 51-year-old victim visited the doctor with stomach pains and was told her internal injuries were consistent with poisoning. She couldn't think of anything that might be causing her discomfort, but then remembered her morning cup of tea had tasted odd in recent weeks. She installed a hidden camera and saw that her coworker was spraying corrosive substances in her tea and on her soda bottle. The perpetrator had been talking with another woman while poisoning the drinks. Both of them said that they just didn't like the victim. The accomplice could get 3 years in prison as well.
I mean, it's a lot of people that I don't like, but very few people that I would try to poison.
But okay, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Let me be clear. I can agree with that. But that's all the stories I got for today. So yeah, this is where we are.
Right. Well, it's been a fun evening as always. You know, part conversation, part therapy session. So I appreciate it, and thank you all for coming out. Any last words, Epic?
Listen, we say this all the time. Thank y'all so much for coming out. Have your friends to send them a link, tell them to like and share and subscribe, and we will see y'all on the other side next week. Well, I'm sorry, on the other side of the day, I should say.
Right.
Next week, and yeah, that's what we do. But again, we appreciate y'all being here. And fam, listen, love you to pieces. If nobody said it to you all today, you all are absolutely friggin' amazing. Oh, I forgot to mention. Dell and I went out to the Spy Museum on Monday. It was really, really cute. I enjoyed myself. I had a great time. Dylan is he's a clown. He's absolute clown.
Is this a shock to you?
It is not a shock to me. Not at all. I will claim the nephew. I will claim him, baby, because when I tell you. But anyway, it was just a great time. But we got into we got to walk around the Spy Museum. So I was really looking at all the gadgets and all that good stuff. But we did get to see the Bond in motion type of thing where they had all the cars up there. And so we're looking at some of the Bond cars or whatever. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cars. But the building itself was amazing too. So I just want to say thank you, Dylan. I appreciate it. I'm glad you were able to come along with me. And also, listen, you know somebody who knows somebody. That boy got connections. He got us in there. And did you know that the Spy Museum costs almost $40 to go into? $37.
That's the same way I remember years ago. This was like in the 90s. I came back into town from college, and I was hooking up with one of my friends from high school, and we was like, you know what, we should go to the National Aquarium, and that shit was like $40 to get in the 90s. I was like, bitch, what? Like, being an adult sucked because, you know, every other time I'd gone to the aquarium, someone else had paid, so I was oblivious to the cost of the girl. So
listen, I appreciate it. Thank you, Dylan. I'm glad you went. And I had a good time, and we got to do some other stuff. So, and thank you, Tyra, for Cliff. That was his name. Cliff Craven was his name on Cheers.
Yes.
So,
well, all right, loves. We will see y'all next week. Mwah. Bye.